What's going on? What
Huge
other women?
racket.
Huh?
A huge racket.
You have to have somebody's help. Who are you looking at?
Oh my God.
You have to have somebody's help. And that's all I'm getting at, right? The bad guys have to have somebody's help. Bad men, bad women have to have somebody's help. That's it. They said that. So, you know, it's funny. They said that same thing. She's a CI. They said that same shit about Courtney. Why? Because we witnessed her gaslight you and induce Stockholm syndrome. We were there when the first time watching the live feeds. We watched you not remember anybody. We watched the police, the authority, allow her to commit felonies and gaslight you to induce Stockholm syndrome. The whole thing about Courtney Hunt being a CIA agent is from the children, the women. They're like, she has to be for the authority. The only person that can legally get away with that. It's across state lines, things like that, right? So there's the kids that now they're, you know, you're a CIA agent. But I was like, whatever. Call her a CIA agent, kids. Just remember from the very first time I spoke to everybody to the last time I speak to everybody. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But I mean, but you think about this. Children today being stolen from their parents and other people documenting it. You imagine you adopting a child and somebody, when that child turns 13 years old, can provide videos that you actually helped steal that child. You actually paid people to be tortured and raped and mugged. You actually went, yeah, rape that person so we can get a child. Yeah. You imagine? You imagine what those kids are going to do when they grow up to their parents? What do you mean? I'm adopted. You know, kids already have troubles. I'm adopted. And then you find out, well, I'm adopted because my parents had somebody raped. I'm adopted because my parents aided and abetting in homicide, torture.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. Why are you adopted? Here's a video. Your parents participated in homicide. Your parents participated. Your parents didn't go about the legal way of doing things. There's foster programs. There's other things, legal routes. Your parents went about felonies. There's real legal things to do. You don't reach out to a doctor who knows a guy that'll rape somebody to impregnate them and threaten homicide to take the children.
God.
I mean, you think about this. I don't think people are truly understanding. And I go, now, those kids.
This is going to be a very interesting Thanksgiving because my cousin who went to her as a patient, remember? And he was the one that said, he didn't say go follow Courtney on Instagram. He said, you got to follow Martin on Instagram. And I didn't even know he was a patient of hers originally. For some reason he said, and then you know what, Mike? There's so many people out there that think that you're like involved with that QAnon. And I heard you the other day explain the difference between that and you have Q level intelligence. So my cousin is wrong.
QAnon, it comes from a half truth. So okay. In militaries, or at the top, so you get an assessment of your IQ. You get a number, right? After the number starts A. After you pass the number ranking, you get an A. And so far right now it goes A to Q. They go, why did you guys end at Q? Somebody thought it was be funny. We take things from TV and fantasy and we apply it to reality. So in Star Trek, there's a guy named Q who you can answer he'll answer any question for you.
Star Trek, right? That's so funny.
If you jump through the hoops, right? You have to jump through the loops. Do what he says, you know, play along with him, and he'll answer any question you want. His name is Q. You ask him, where are you getting your information? It's anonymous. QAnon.
Oh my God.
Where's the rest? Who are you? Who gave you all of this knowledge? It's anonymous. Your name is Q and it's anonymous. QAnon.
Well, anyway, that was the weird, convoluted way I got to you, but
no, I know my information's all over. I have stuff tagged on every military base. So before, when we started this, you giving information anonymously. So I talked about a still suit, Excalibur, all that information. It was given to outside of the country first. So all of that information was given to children who are no longer in the country or who are outside of the country to begin with. So I talk, okay, somebody asked, butterfly effect. Butterfly effect is a cognitive ripple for conscious energy or the idea of something. I'm the only person in the world to put Excalibur together. I'm the only person in the world to put a still suit together. I'm the only one that put the 7 seals of all of this information. I'm the only one. But before I made it public, it was given to women, and they were like, show women and children things. I'm like, oh, here, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of information, and then I'm going to use it myself to see if it works. I'm going to use this information. We'll see if it works. Is it working? Right? Is it working? Right? We've done this. We've done this before. I went, I don't know how to explain it, man. I talked about spooners and things like that. Me and my wife are spooners people. We go to spooners farms. It's very
we don't have that out here, but I know
it's very important. It's very important to mine and my wife's relationship. Some people took us there originally and did some really bad things, but they didn't realize Spooner's Farms is where I took like when you go fill out paperwork for the State Patrol, where are you going to take the kids? Spooner's Farms. I don't know if it was the State Patrol or the FBI or whoever does that, Homeland Security, but somebody at Spooner's Farms had to be made aware if my kids have freakouts down there, right? I had kids that were in bad situations given to me, and they're like, where do you want to take them? I'm going to take them to Spooner's Farms. I'm going to take them, I pick some places. Here's the places I'm taking my children. Now, I picked those places to take my children so that men could observe and make sure, if we were followed or things would bad happen, it could be documented anonymously by somebody. What the hell do you think what do you think they documented?
What?
Huh? Well, I don't know. I said, what do you think they documented?
Yeah.
What do you think they documented? Now, all of the places I tried to explain to people. I got me and my wife got abducted out of the front of our homeowners association one time because we were walking, and a low level authority figure was like, why the fuck were you walking there? I'm like, pulled out a paper, like, here's my plan. He's like, this is dated from before you got kids. I'm like, yeah. I'm going to walk here. I'm going to walk to the dentist. I'm going to go to Spooner's. These are the places that were predetermined. I'm going to go to the gym. Or I'm going to go to LA. Like, how the fuck did you? Why LA Fitness? Your ankles, your tendons and your ankles were torn up. Why did you go to LA Fitness? I'm like, here, it's part of my plan. It was part of the plan to go there, so it could be recorded. Now, my question is, what did the men or the women and children do with that information? What are we doing with that intel? If I'm going to give you kids who we know people are coming after, I need you to have a plan in place. Where are you taking the kids for dinner? Where would you take them for Halloween? Where'd you take them for Christmas? Where would you take them to for Valentine's Day? Where would you take all these kids? Where are you going to go? If things are happening to you, Susan, where are you going to go so that we can document this shit? So I'll walk to the dentist. Here's my circle. Here's where I go.
All right, that's cool. All right, I get it.
Now, what happened in the dentist? Look, they documented the sheriff's department taking me out of Bright Now Dental, just like they were supposed to do. And then they documented me after being taken by the sheriff's, not remembering my name or what was going on for months. What does that make the children think? If the children know, we're having him go to, he's going to go to the dentist. We can keep an eye on things at the dentist. And then Susan, you go, okay, I'm going to the dentist. And then I, as the police officers, I pick you up. And then the kids, Susan doesn't know her name anymore. Susan doesn't remember who to call. She doesn't remember. You don't remember I'm part of your kids, Susan. Don't you remember me? I'm part of your kids. Here's a picture of us together. And you're going, did you forge that? That's pretty good Photoshop. Where did you get? I'm like, wait a minute. That is my clothes. Those are, that's how my hair lays when I wake up in the morning. Where did you get that picture, kid? We were part of your group. We were part of your group. Whatever. Don't contact me anymore. Apparently this is not going the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Now, am I going to be started over again so these kids can watch? I mean, I think about from the very beginning, it just seems like some bad men understood the bigger picture and used a lot of good men to make so that they could get away with things, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Some bad men went, this is very interesting. Nobody really knows what's going on. We can continue the cycle. Continue the cycle. In real life, I had a lot of bad people show up for a long time. But we made sure children watched waterboarding, traumatic brain injuries, so those things could take place. And by the good guys. But I mean, I don't know, I don't know. But if I'm not supposed to talk about these things, the chain of command at the FBI, right? If they weren't wanting me to speak about these things, they have the ability to turn off your feed from talking to me, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting somewhere. Right? Somebody watching from the very, very beginning. They have the ability. They've had it all along. They have the ability to make sure I'm not given new information to be trained. Department of Homeland Security, where I got some of these children, watching from the very, very beginning. They have the ability to make sure you can't contact me again, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have the ability to make sure bad men did not put bad doctors, authority figures in my life again. Unless I was being used to train some people. They have that ability. Right? When I got my first traumatic brain injury, forced to be gaslit for Stockholm syndrome and other things. They had the ability to not have me go through that again, so that people could not look bad.
I just saw somebody write way more than Susan bargained for. I'm like,
oh,
laughing my ass off.
You don't have to be on. You don't have to be on here.
No, I want to be on here.
But I mean,
you know what? Let me just tell you this. I just feel like, I remember I followed Courtney. Okay, so she's really good at explaining quantum physics. And really, in the beginning, I didn't know what the hell was going on between, what happened with you guys. And now
I escaped.
I know. I didn't know that.
And then people came again. Like I keep escaping. And I escaped. I don't mean like escaped. Like I got to a place where I'm like, all right, I'm done. It's gaslighting Stockholm syndrome. You guys saw what you needed to see. Fix it. And I got put back in it a few times. A few times.
Yeah.
A few times. And I'm just like, what are we now in real life? You don't think the FBI has the ability to pay attention to my conversations, especially with the amount of stink I make? I called them. Like I called the FBI. It was like, you guys' your phones are being recorded. They had no idea what I was talking about. How did I know their phones were being recorded? I got children to do a job. And in part of doing my job, I needed to make sure those children could make phone calls. I could make phone calls on their behalf if I need to call somebody. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. If I call the FBI, all of my conversation, no matter where I call them from, now I can have you call them from your New York and just put my phone to your phone so I can speak to them. but the conversation was being recorded. It didn't matter who I asked to call. California, New York, Texas, Colorado, Canada, somebody from Sweden. No matter where the phone call was being placed, it was already tapped. And so at that point, I'm like, the phone tap probably, paranoia would go, man, they're really trying to get me. They have the whole world's phones tapped to get me. And I went, I don't think that phone tapping shit had anything to do with me. I just think it came about because I had children who needed to be able to make phone calls legitimately. I needed to be able to make phone calls on children's behalf. And the phones were tapped. So I called the FBI out of Yelm after I got into a place. I'm like, your phones are being tapped. They're like, no, they're not. You're who are you? You're delusional. And, hung up. So my name's Martin, blah, 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 blah. Get off the phone. They call, my phone rings and they're like, can you go into detail about the phones being tapped? Not really, but you might want to look into it. They're like, no, we need you to go into detail. I'm like, I can't, but I got some other stuff for children I have to check the phones every once in a while. I have to reach out to my person who checks things. And they're like, dude, no matter where we make a call from, it's tapped. And I'm like, I don't think it has anything to do with us. I think it was just a byproduct. Finding it out was just a byproduct of my situation. Like, the phone taps had nothing to do with us. It had nothing to do with us. It was a byproduct of my situation, finding out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But I called them. From that very moment, notifying the FBI about phones being tapped and shit like that. That's publicly being on the radar. Because it's on, right? The phone company, it's a public. I made it from a public number over public infrastructure. I was recorded prior to anybody knowing the FBI's phones are being tapped, telling them, your phones are being tapped. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with my situation. Just my situation has allowed me to find out.
Yeah.
Shit is being tapped. But at that very moment in time, whoever's paying attention didn't have to allow people to come back into my life so that children can see things. They could have just been like, he's going away. Make him go away.
Mm-hmm.
Make him go away. Make him go away. But I mean, what was the benefit of that?
What was the benefit for you calling the FBI?
No. Allowing people to pay attention from the very beginning. If they're going to let all these people walk.
It's the legacy of what's going on.
But wouldn't you want your legacy cleaning up crime?
Yeah.
Right? I got my legacy cleaning up crime. Why don't we have that? It's almost like my last post. It's almost as if somebody wanted to see distrust in the FBI from the very beginning. Right? Somebody who had their phones tapped before I ever got involved. It's almost as if somebody set up the FBI from the very beginning. And just my situation, because of the things that I dealt with, the kids I dealt with, things came up on the radar that wasn't on the radar.
So why would this be? Because they want everybody to distrust.
I have no idea. That's why I have no idea. This is where I'm at. I have no idea. But I don't have to be given information.
Like, is there a grand plan that you don't even know about that's going on?
That's what I'm getting at. I don't know what the grand plan is. I have no idea what the grand plan is.
Like another country taking over this country and
I have no idea. I don't know what the grand plan is for my particular situation, if that makes sense.
But for some reason they just keep wanting you to persevere.
Yeah, because I know, when I'm hurt, I really love sweets. So sometimes when I get hurt, I will try to gorge myself on Dr. Pepper and things, Swedish fish, things that I know I know now that I'm better, but when I'm sick, I don't realize I shouldn't be gorging myself on those things, or I'm not going to get my memory back. Things aren't going to get better for myself.
Yeah.
And people make sure, don't eat that shit. Stop it.
Yeah.
Why? I like it. In my old house, some people kept coming back after some torture stuff was taking place, and a baby was brought back to me. And I was like, the baby can't be in this house right now. The baby can't be in the house right now. So they're like, in real life, they're like, how do you get the baby taken away or removed out of the house at this moment so that it doesn't look like you're just saying, hey, there's people watching. You can't have, like, we didn't want the people who were watching, being watched, to know I'm giving the baby up, because we know they're still coming back. They're still paying. I made a whole thing about a monkey baby. I'm like, I'll just call it a monkey. Literally, I'm like, I got autism. I have meltdowns already. I was like, I will have a meltdown about it being a monkey baby. If you pay attention, like on the dark net, there's videos of me on old ass cameras. I'm like a fucking monkey baby. They keep bringing me a goddamn monkey baby. And they were like, crazy? So crazy it worked. But I'm like, you can't bring this. Like, I got hurt. I had a teacher live next to me and help me with some things. And I'm like, you guys can't have this baby in the house right now. The bad men are still coming. And they're like, well, the bad men can't know you don't want the baby. You'll give the whole situation away. Literally, they're like, you can't not take the baby, Martin. You'll give the situation away. You can't not take the baby. You'll give yourself away.
Yeah.
I said, I'm like, you can't leave this child in my house. It will be raped. There's men right now who like to have sex with babies. You cannot leave this baby in the house. You can't. They were literally, I'm like, you already have on record the sheriffs and the FBI come into my house because some men were raping a baby. You already have it documented. They raped a baby, and you don't know who it was, and you're bringing me another baby to stay in my house. I mean, the same thing will happen. You haven't got the people the first time. Whoever these men are, you haven't got them. And now you're going to leave another kid in my care, where I'm going to have to go to work, and it's going to stay by itself with some people, so it can happen again. And they're like, well, how do you not keep the baby without letting those men know the only reason you're not keeping the baby is because those men? How do you make sure they don't know that's why you're? I was like, I'll just freak out and a monkey baby. They were like, what? I'm like, psyops. I'm like, psychological operations. And literally, they were like, what the fuck is a psychological operation? Literally, they were like, what is a psychological operation?
Right.
I'll show you. I was like, monkey baby. Ah! And literally, somebody from a church got involved in, like, he keeps freaking out about monkey babies. You can't leave this baby in the house. And I went to the authority. I went to the authority, who took pictures of stuff, and I went, look.
God, so weird. But thank God you thought of that.
They're like, how do you not have the baby in your house right now so the men don't rape it? But without those men realizing, that's why the baby's not in your house. Because
right.
You don't, how do you do that? I was like, monkey baby. They're like, that's just crazy. I'm like, I'm autistic. It's not going to be normal, but it'll work. Right? My way of thinking and my process, it might not be normal, but it will work. But literally, I had the sheriffs come out. What do you call it? Child Protective Services.
Tarantino movie. I'm telling you.
What? I was like, a monkey baby. They're like, they keep bringing me a freaking monkey baby. I told you, Susanna, about all these babies with tails. Like, where are you keeping? Yeah. Where's the town of monkey men? No, that's where I got, because when I was a child, I saw a lot of children born with tails, and they get them removed. And at some point, I was like, where do you send all these babies? Where do you send these? Is it like a whole town? Because I seen a lot of them. Like, there's a lot of these monkey babies being. When I'm a little boy. I'm telling you, like I was a little boy. I was a little boy.
Thank God you recalled that memory.
I was a very young boy. I'm like, where are you putting all these monkey babies? Where are they going? Ultrasound tech, like your job. I'm like, where are you putting all these babies? What are you doing with them all? And they're looking at me like, what? I'm like, who's got a tail? I don't have a tail. You don't have a tail. And the monkeys have tails. Where are they putting them all? Where are they putting them all?
Oh my God.
That memory that memory carried over to an adult. Right when I was
Well,
like,
I'm glad.
That memory carried over to an adult. As an adult, I was like, I know people already frown upon even knowing babies are born with tails, things like that. It's already a big deal. They were like literally at the hospital, like, shh, shut the fuck up, boy. Shh, shh. It's not, you don't want to,
You must have been in ketosis. Your brain must have been really open and clear to come up with this. Like, don't you think that helps when, the fight or flight?
Oh yeah. I do these during the winter time. I get in really because it's cold enough. Because I get really, I don't like being hot. I was in a like I don't like heat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like heat. I don't like desert heat. I cannot stand it. It environmental trigger. I do not like the dry desert, dry hot. I don't like it. It's an environmental trigger. During the wintertime, it's not a big deal. I'll exercise.
Right, to get.
Yeah, I'll exercise the way I need to exercise. And I get into a deep ketogenic state and I go, hey, wait a minute. Remember the time we had a baby taken from my house because I didn't want it in my house because people were raping children? Like, they got videotape. I mean, literally, there was a whole crime scene investigation. Like, my wife, they had to bring my wife. My wife came home. She had a whole freak out, like a major freak out. Imagine coming home and seeing your husband and your kid in a certain state. And then literally, a good 2 day of nobody can go in and out of the house. Nobody can talk to you. can't see your child. You can't talk to your husband. We need pictures. We need all this stuff.
Wow.
But I understand that it might not make sense to people on the outside. Right? I totally get that.
I just have to slow it down. It helps when I slow it down. Like, I heard what you said. It's just that I will be going back and listening to it again just because it's a lot to process for me. And I think for most people.
It's a lot. I just try
we don't have to think like this. You are in a situation where you
I mean, you think about. I bought my cross again, mine and my wife's cross again from Amazon. I mean, you think about. So I'm talking about the FBI, the CIA. Who has the ability to go into, like, I can take a picture and upload it for, say you're one of my kids. I'm like, I'm going to order these things from Amazon. They'll be in my previously bought cart, so I can add them again. We take a picture, Susanna. You document that for me that I bought this, this, and this. I bought this bed. You document it for me, okay? It's in my cart. And then I show you, hey, log into my account. Do you see that there's a previous purchase of this bed? They say it's not there. It shows you've never purchased it before. Who has that kind of power? So we're talking about where I get my information from. Who's teaching me things? Who has the kind of power to tell Amazon, you need to erase Martin's history? To tell Microsoft, you need to erase Martin's history.
Yeah.
To tell Google, you need to erase Martin's history.
Wow.
If you don't, we'll shut you down. Like, who has that kind of power? I talk like I did that feed again where I up in my bedroom again.
Yeah.
More than one time. It's for children. So because I use the same sign-ons, the same things for things. It's not in. I'm going to buy the mattress again, but it's not in my history. Children, can you check? They're like, it's not there. Like, I bought some Skittles. One pack of Skittles tasting rainbow in the very beginning of a sequence. Is it in there? No, it's not. I bought this phone again. Right? I'm talking to you on a phone. I bought it at a Sprint shop. You think about this. I'm talking about knowledge is power. I bought this phone at a Sprint shop. Now, after I purchased it, I had some issues with it. I had to go and exchange it myself. And the Sprint shop had been turned over to a T-Mobile shop. I got hurt. so that my memory could, you think about, pieces of a puzzle, things link. I got hurt. And I had to be started over for certain things so people could have certain intel. And that Sprint shop was switched, or that T-Mobile shop was switched back into a Sprint shop. Who has that?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. The guy was pissed. The manager, who I knew from this other guy named Josh, whatever, was pissed. Like, I had a freak out the first time. The fire, like, people had to show up because I wouldn't put my mask on. I had a freak out. People showed up. And I had to do, like, not shit. Start it all over. Who did it? But, I mean, you think about knowledge. Who has the kind of power to change information in Google, Microsoft, Amazon, every place that I might deal with? Who has that? We don't know. But for whatever reason, whoever has that kind of power keeps feeding me information to get better.
And this is all the same reality. You're not going back and forth through some like wormholes.
No. Now here's the thing. I let children document this.
Okay.
I let people document. Look, I'm not bullshitting. Like, watch. Like, and it's funny. You're like, this ain't some alternate reality. It's funny. I let some children watch Courtney do that. He says, it happened, Martin, but not in this life. I remember it too. And she'll tell me everything of a bad situation that I haven't told her about. Memory of something bad. Other children are reiterating that memory. Nobody's told her about it, and she's telling me about it, even though I haven't told her yet, because it happened in another lifetime, a different reality.
Oh, God.
Who has that kind of power?
Big Brother? I don't know.
I don't know. And what would I be sharing other than my information about human creation and the root of David, or the root that was used to divide and conquer, is the singular body of light that truly does put itself on a cross? That's the only thing I've had since the very beginning. Since 5 years old. That's all I've had. In real life, I talk about my friend Ryan Harris at a birthday party. People breaking into the house to kidnap me. They got me to the street, and the people who were taking me are no longer breathing air anymore. And everybody being put to, like, literally, like, they put a whole team of kids, like parents, adults, the other people who were there for what, they put everybody to sleep.
You're kidding me. No,
I'm just like, what? Whoever had that kind of power obviously has the same kind of power to start to redo my Amazon purchases. Mm-hmm. They put them to sleep, like they didn't have any memory. Like we sat there, I'm just like, Susan, man, I'm freaking out. You're asking me why you crying? Why you so sweaty? It's just the TV and there's just shit stolen out of the house. Yada yada yada. These people aren't normal police officers. They're in suits and shit like that. They're going to question us, and everything's going to be okay, man. Calm down, Martin. The next morning I show up, and I'm like, hey, what did those people ask? You're like, what people? What people? What people?
Do you just get used to this?
That's what people are. It's like desensitization.
I mean, I'm trying to relate, but I guess, yeah, it's just mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing, but I mean, like, I remember, my memory's getting so much better right now. I remember my Aunt Lisa and my Uncle Adam, when he proposed to my Aunt Lisa. He said one of my phrases. I as a young child, how I remember things, I make